What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 76, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram and on YouTube. Just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. It's pretty easy to find. That's my channel, and please be sure to click subscribe if you're not subscribing already. That is definitely helpful and appreciated. I'm at Adam Choit on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me. And of course, if you're listening, because this is eventually going to be a regular audio podcast episode as well, be sure to subscribe to the show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, positive reviews on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or whatever the hell it's called, are greatly appreciated. So for today's episode, let's just get into it and recap what we just watched. I'm the Moon, Crescent, Part 1, the film, and we heard the first whole album there. I actually took pictures of all the credits, and I have that on my phone as also. I think I took at least 2 or 3 pictures of each credit for safety there. What a great job by Alex Lambert, first of all. And I'm probably going to read all these people's names at some point, but directed and produced by Alex Lambert, like that is a masterpiece and a landmark achievement. And I wish I knew more adjectives because I'm going to need them all, but that's what you guys are here for. You guys can fill in the gaps when I can't come up with the descriptors and the adjectives and the superlatives to describe what we just saw. So I figure what I'll do is I have a bunch of notes right here, obviously chronological, but I think I'll refer to the chat throughout and hear what you guys have to say as well, and when you guys chime in. So let's just dive into it. A lot of this is just going to be kind of like my reaction to what we just saw in the film. And in many ways, what we just saw was, as Tammy Goldsmith says, a visually stunning. I was going to use the word even collage, and that's kind of like what my thoughts were, a collage of thoughts. And by the third or fourth song, maybe I just started jotting down what I saw, images, and then I'm sure when I read what I wrote, it will trigger certain thoughts and feelings and reactions to specific moments in the film itself. But song 1 was Hear My Dear, and we heard that, of course, on in the Fireside series. And I mean, I'm a fan. I'm biased, but I'm being honest when I say that I loved all these songs and everything about what we saw tonight. If I didn't articulate that already in so many words just in the first few minutes of this chat. But all these songs are just going to be amazing to hear live. And I can't wait to see how these songs grow. I mean, it's such amazing studio work by this band for sure. But we all know when they take these songs on the road, they're going to go in all sorts of new directions. And this film is definitely going to contain a lot of things that we're all going to notice and observe and take in when we see it second time, third time, fourth time, 10th time, whatever the case may be, because there's a lot to digest visually, especially in the film. And every single image that you saw, we saw, I'm going to assume that it was there for a reason, and it was a specific choice to put certain things at certain parts in the movie and with certain lyrics or certain accented parts by the band members or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. I thought this film, like I kind of want to like play it for other people, like when they're over, just like I don't like saying it, putting it in the background is underselling that it should demand everyone's undivided attention. But it was sort of this, I feel like it can provide a good like visual and audio backdrop. If you're having like people over for a party, you just throw this on your screen in the background. Of course, I would get pulled away from conversation. My attention would be, and I would end up just watching and listening to the music, of course. But I like how the images did not, for the most part, actually sync up with what we were hearing on the music. Um, like we saw images of Kebby and horns and stuff, and there were no horns playing because it really was like a collage of all things TTB. I'm going to jump ahead because had some of these thoughts later on in the film, but it felt like a home movie. A lot of it, like just from the style of the film and the image and all that, the sort of throwback vintagey quality made it feel really like, because we couldn't really, there was no audio and any spoken words from Derek or Susan or any of the band, but it felt like an old timey home movie that we were watching. Um, and it made it feel intimate in a sense, like you were part of their family. And maybe it did give you, or give one, or give me a little sense of what it might be like to like be in TTB and be in these settings and be playing music together and in nature, and we'll dive more into those very naturey images and all the settings, and I'm sure some of you guys can speak to that more than me in terms of some of the details. But also, the band is good looking. They're all good looking people. I don't know if you realize this is not the most important thing to note, and they're, none of these people are superficial, but they are like a good looking bunch of people individually and of course collectively as well. So when you're reasonably attractive, that always can shine through. The camera definitely likes TTB and their faces and the way they present themselves on screen. um some of these are going to be like some random ass thoughts for sure and reactions to what I saw, but there's just a lot of movement on screen. I wrote down kinetic energy. Things are like really jumping at you, and you can really again feel these songs ready to like explode into our lives and into the live shows that the band is going to play and become like the backdrop and the for our summer, our spring and our summer, really. Like I'm sure the band is like really excited to be sharing new music, all this new music that they've been working on for so long with everyone. And the film just like, I feel like the music was like trapped in the screen, and the images and the graphic synergy, as Tammy says, and the mixed media, the presentation of the songs, and all the stylized aspects of the film made me feel like this music is like ready to like jump literally out of the screen and into our lives, so to speak. I'm definitely very deep. No, and of course, all the studio recordings that we heard are just ridiculously polished, and there's no wasted note, there's no wasted moment. Everything, again, like the movie itself, within the album itself, as well, was choices by the band that they made for very specific reasons as smart, talented, amazing musicians. What else we got here? I love the soft background outro harmony vocals that were on Here My Dear. What was the next song? Fall In, I believe it's called. Let me see. I have the album tracks up here. Fall In. They played that second, or it was second, I believe. Um a nice throwback visually to the sort of Woodstock 3 tri-panels, the different panel style editing. I think that's where that originated from what I gather, or at least it was made popular by Woodstock. And and of course TTB in many ways is a throwback band to the music of the 60s, and I can't help but think of Joe Cocker and his impact on TTB, and picturing him in the like that style of editing. Just a lot of images jumping out at me. Of course, a lot of floral images and flowery things, and in many ways, this is a rebirth. The band is back out on the road, and things seem to be finally starting and getting back to normal in that regard. They're putting out new music, spring, rebirth, et cetera, et cetera. All of those themes jumping out at me. This song had a Taj Mahal type vibe to it. I felt like Goosebumps. I wrote down Mike Madison, of course, great as always. Someone was asking who the tuba player was. You know what? I have that right here somewhere. Let me pull that up because I did take a picture of all the musicians here. Tuba, tuba, tuba. I don't see it on here, but I'm sure someone can clue us into that. Yeah, I was a big fan of that song, to say the least. And I really like that fiery, lasery effect. Had a real warmth to it. Like energy was obviously a big theme throughout what we saw tonight. It was interesting how like the flower they sort of like pulled back, zoomed out or whatever on like the flower on screen towards the end of that song and the end of that part of the film. It's all just very, very stunning, to say the least. Like all these images of space and nature. It's like we got this real intimate look at Tedeschi trucks and their faces, many, many close-ups of really everyone in the band, but we also zoomed out at the same time and got more of a perspective of outer space and the universe and everything in between. And they're a band that sort of covers everything in between. I'm speaking a little bit generally right now, but nevertheless, I enjoyed all the visuals for sure. I Am the Moon was the well, before I jump onto that, I will read some of these comments. Scott Conacher said Fallen has a real New Orleans vibe to it. I agree. Keith Sharp says mix a video from Old Persia, Old Pasaquan, current Pasaquan, and Swamp Raga Studio. That's where I thought I did read, tried to do some research before this, and I do remember reading about some of the different settings. Chris, I'm going to butcher your last name. Chris K. Interesting to see all the life and energy coming from the band, particularly as they were writing during 2020. I think these were all like what we saw visually were all themes that they were feeling. The flowers and all of the ones that are blooming here in Massachusetts, says Janet. Yeah, they were fighting back. I'm going to get into this more, but there was a lot of like things visually that made me think of like sort of the duality of life and some of these like symmetrical images and figures like facing each other and the idea of even being in the desert and traveling through roads and trying to connect with a spirit. There's just an insane amount of spiritual imagery to this film, and of course in the music as well. Again, home movie vibes I wrote down here. I Am the Moon is a great ballad, if you want to call it a ballad. I'm not sure if that's technically the right term. There was a close-up during this song of Susan singing, and it was just super intense. Like it really, I don't know, this felt like a home movie in a sense. Like the band would probably like enjoy watching this, or members of the band like later on in their lives. Like it seemed like that type of thing going on. It's a different experience watching something like this, obviously, versus watching like a live performance or a video of TTB live. This just has like a totally different type of a feeling that it evokes in us, the viewer and listener. Of course, Gabe did amazing work throughout this, as did everyone in the band. And I hope that I mention all 12 members at some point and give everybody the proper credit for what we heard tonight. But Gabe did a great job on this song, and him and Susan harmonizing is excellent. I thought this song actually had a little bit of a Bob Dylan-esque quality to it. Steve Benaziac says he would love to see the lyrics of really probably of the whole film and the whole album or whatever was played tonight. Yeah, I was like taking notes and listening to the music and looking at the images and trying to juggle a few different things and not miss anything. So that's again, this is definitely something that's intended to be watched and consumed over and over again. And we know TTB's music is timeless, and we don't, at least I don't get sick of any of their songs, and they have enough of them now where it's nearly impossible to even come close to feeling that way. And it just an engaging band with all their songs from start to finish. Um, I wrote down some thoughts here. Desert imagery, just the thoughts of wandering and struggling and space, the dualities of life. Again, just random reactions, but these are some of the things that we sort of mentioned already, even a little earlier. The moon and the sun. I am the moon. What does that mean? I'll be trying to figure that out in the coming months. Um, Again, just something about, I keep coming back to the term duality, but like moon and sun and whatnot definitely jumps out at me. The fourth track was Circles Round the Sun. So we got a moon song and then a sun song right after. That was probably done on purpose, I'm going to say. And of course, all the images between the songs uh, were uh, were seamless. I really love this track. I've said that about all the tracks, but this one included too. Um, so I had like a real psychedelic quality to it, and here's where I kind of had the thought that that we're watching is almost like a video log or a vlog or home movies that really gives you a sense, at least for a moment, what it might feel like to be, in TTB and live the lives that they do. It just gives you a tiny snapshot of them moving through the different spaces that they exist in, be it a studio or outdoors in nature or socially just having fun with each other. Um, Again, roads, fire, travel, fire being energy, just a lot of these very powerful images and symbols and graphics coming at us that are going to make us probably have different interpretations and new interpretations and have different perspectives on this ourselves as we, consume the music and come back to this film and this then the studio tracks themselves and listen again. But in a way, I feel like the band is going to be interpreting their own music as they take all these songs on the road. So they're going to be sort of inspired by what they've already done to take it to new and different heights. So that's going to be really fun to see unfold once the band gets out there again. And it goes without saying that there was an amazing bluesy psychedelic trucks guitar solo on Circles Round the Sun, and that's always captivating to hear, as you might imagine. Chris K asked, yeah, how will these translate live? The answer is very well and amazing. um and they'll be extended, of course, a lot of these songs, I'm sure. uh I really like the chanting. It was like harmonizing slash chanting at the end of Circles Around the Sun. I kind of towards the end, as Derek was continuing on, and that was a really interesting, cool, uh, haunting sound that the band put together on that track. And again, just trucks. I say again because these are things that I've covered over and over again throughout being a fan of Derek and this band, is that the guy really does sort of channel, I feel like, all the greats or many of the greats who have come before. I can hear the Kings, BB and uh, and and Freddie King and Albert and Jimi Hendrix and all these and Eric Clapton. You hear all of them in Derek's playing, and what it comes together as is Derek, something totally original and a sound unique to himself. And we all know this already. Anyone who's listening to this or is a fan of this band knows how we feel about the quality of what Derek Trucks can do musically. The horns were great on this song as well. They had some cool parts on that track. I don't know anything about the voiceover. Did you guys know anything out there in the chat about there was a voiceover again? Light is distributed into great forces of nature. Again, all these, it was them mostly articulating connecting some of the images that we were seeing. But I don't know if that was someone in the band or that was like a quote taken from like a movie or something like that. I have no idea. But that was cool. I wonder if that's going to go on the album. That was Saint Ohm, a religious figure. Keith Sharp says in the chat. Yeah, I mean, I haven't, again, there's so much deeper diving to do, I think, into the stories behind the album and I Am the Moon and the stories behind each of the songs and the video. Like there's just, you can really, appreciate this on all different levels. You could just hear these songs in passing and be completely floored. You could dive deep into this film and the history of the creation of the album and appreciate it on that level. It's sort of limitless how deep one wants to dive into all things TTB. The next track here, I guess the final track was Pasaquan, which we heard on the Fireside series, but it wasn't the studio version. It was them performing it, from what I gather. Keith Sharp says the voiceover was the guy who built Pasaquan, Eddie Owens, Martin St. Ohm. I learned how to just do that. I can show the chats. How do I hide that now? There you go. Look at me. Yeah, that's what Casey Mule is also echoing what I just mentioned here in the chat, that it was played live during the Fireside show. The intro to it had a sort of a Midnight in Harlem-y intro vibe to it, for sure. And just the way Derek was dressed, and you can tell that, I mean, not just from the way he was dressed, but more from their expressions, him and the whole band, that they are all very spiritual people, or it would seem that way to me. Like, these are deep people and deep thinkers who care about each other and, of course, music and humanity as well. They're artists. They're doing the job of artists. I love the Allman Brothers band vibes when the drums kick in. Sort of really triggers those feelings. And the band and everyone who was on Pasaquan, they just look focused, but also like they're having fun. Just this like fun and focused thing going on. And again, Truck's soloing is as great as always. Just always completely floored by what that dude does, especially. And again, don't sleep on what the drums did and the drummers did on this track or any tracks. And Gabe did some fantastic things as well on Pasaquan. And in terms of some of the images that we saw over this track, just the building of the TP and the tent was just very communal. And I definitely think that they were going for that type of is analogy the right word, or comparison, or juxtaposition perhaps is a better word, between the band members performing music together and the community building building the teepee together, like just the whole idea of building something together, be it musically or structurally in the physical world. And it was interesting to see the desert imagery coinciding with the extended uh, drum duet, whatever you want to call it. And if I recall correctly, there were two camels and two individuals um, out in the desert, and they were also praying and sharing an intimate experience together. And that's kind of what it might be, what the drummers were doing together, what Isaac and Falcon, they shared, you know, sharing a spiritual experience in the sense as well, because you know music is very spiritual, and it just and the band definitely feels that way, and that really comes across uh in this film, and in this very specific way, at least how I interpret it, with in this part with the drummers doing their thing together, and then just seeing this other pair of figures on screen sharing a serious moment, a spiritual moment. And again, back to the 10 thing, just the idea of building and teamwork and using your hands, because there's a lot of that going on as well with the drummers and other musicians and their instruments, like the idea of using our physical bodies in space to build and construct something together that everybody can benefit from and be uplifted from. And just the thoughts of community and spirituality and even religion, that kind of like jumped out at me from watching this film. I mean, does one or do you not feel more connected with nature, and the universe in some way after watching this film as compared to before it? Because I feel like I do. Like, it's obviously always, I shouldn't say obviously, but I've talked about how it's definitely spiritually uplifting after attending a Tedeschi Trucks band show live, and you get, or at least I got, some of those same feelings after watching this film. And it seemed like a very much a celebration of of music itself, and the music seemed more of a celebration and a release, maybe even more so than the fireside sessions and the fireside series in some way, which seemed emotional, maybe more for me, especially when that series first started, after not hearing any new or live music from TTB or really the world for a while there in 2020 or 2021. But this just seemed like more pure pure joy, as a lot of the the positive and uplifting imagery and that we saw sort of backs up with the flowers and the rebirth, and a lot of the joyous faces that we saw on the band members as they were playing and on screen and not playing, and catching them, in moments during their lives. Chris K says, I feel like the band did a deep spiritual dive during this time, as many of us did during 2020. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I can't wait till part two comes out. We're gonna have a while for that one. What do we do till then? I'm just looking at the credits here. If there's anything worth mentioning here. No, it's a team effort. What was this? What was the track over the credits? Do you guys know that instrumental? Is that something from this album that we didn't hear yet? I am not 100% sure. Let's see what else I got here. Edited by Lizzie Minges. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Produced by Mark Lowenstein, Jimmy Ferguson, Bradley Strickland, Grant James. Did the cinematography. Great work by them. I, of course, interviewed Bradley. He's a cool dude. I'm a fan of him. Here's the locations. Let's see. Some of the animators, locations, stock footage. Josiah the camel, provided by Georgia animal actors, handlers Rachel Smith and Dee Dee Spain. Does anyone know the story behind the camel? And whose idea was the camel to get it on the set? I guess it was on set. I know we saw it in the desert, but I figured that was some kind of stock footage. Maybe I missed the Georgia camel. I'm going to get that camel on the podcast and interview him, Josiah. That's coming next. We're going to work on that. Hair and makeup people. Now, everyone did great work all around. It takes a village. I think that's pretty much all I have to say and share. I'll continue to chat with you guys for a minute if you guys wanted to continue to share some more thoughts. But I'm gonna edit this into a podcast episode, like I was saying. So if I'm just rambling right now to kill time, I may cut that out. Camel Wrangler on the podcast, suggests Tammy. Yeah, maybe I will. Yeah. Maybe they're a big fan of the band. That would help. Yeah, no, it was. I am not in the least bit disappointed, and it's just totally. Not that I had expectations or ever really have expectations, but we know when TTB is putting out music or anything creative that it's going to be solid, to say the least, and that's also an understatement. But I think that's pretty much all I got. Hope you guys are doing okay. Please check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. And of course, remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever however you listen to podcasts. That's appreciated. Subscribe on YouTube. Click that subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button. That's what the kids are saying these days. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Choit. TTB, Tedeschi Trucks Band, their official website is TedeschiTrucksBand.com. That's TedeschiTrucksBand.com. Definitely go there. Buy tickets to tour shows, buy merch, buy the albums if you haven't. TedeschiTrucksBand.com. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Looking forward to doing this again for the next film, part 2. I'll check on that date later. I'm going to try to do more streams though. I think that's a thing I'm going to try to do. I want to get you guys on live right after shows end. Like if you guys are, I'm going to the show in North Carolina or whatever, like I want to get someone on the phone and on the video like right after that, like when it's fresh. So we're going to try to do some more streaming and more live stuff. Thank you guys for thanking me. I see that in the chat. I'm going to end this broadcast. I'm actually probably going to take it down off YouTube and then put it back up as a fully edited episode. So I might pull down some posts or make the video unlisted or something, but I'll sort that out later. But again, thank you everyone. That was great. What a great night. I wish there was another one next week. And then every week we get this, but smart of the band to do it this way and keep us always looking forward to more music throughout the summer. All right, guys. Peace.